Chapter 17, Magic Bicycle. Chapter 17 is titled The Deeper World. Okay, so I've dropped it. We'll get it right at 17. Cool. Okay. I guess I'll go ahead and read it. So there's more moderators on. I made a Zeppelin Kaboom moderator, so if somebody comes on and starts posting spam, go ahead and delete it or put them in timeout or whatever. Eliminate it. Okay. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, YouTubers. This is Jerry Diamond with How to Get Out of Babylon. And I'm reading the Spirit Flyer series of books, at least the first one or two or three or four. I got 4 of them. And they get increasingly into dealing with spiritual warfare and the unseen world that we all are dealing with every day but don't realize it. So there you go. That's why I'm reading them. I see far too many people unknowingly going over to the dark side more and more. So they don't know what they're doing. They're ignorant of the fact that they're doing evil, but they're doing evil because they're listening to the enemy. All right, so enough ranting, I guess. Grandfather Kramer laid John on the floor. John passed out after seeing the deeper world. He carefully took off the Spirit Flyer vision goggles and put them away under the tractor seat. Then he slowly whittled a piece of wood with his pocket knife, waiting for John to wake up. In a few minutes, John opened his eyes, looking somewhat confused and slightly afraid. "Where am I?" he asked. "With us," Grandfather Kramer said, reaching down to give John a hand. "Why don't you have a sip of tea?" John walked over to the workbench, drank a whole glass of tea in one breath, then walked cautiously over to the window. He stared at the long shadow on the hill above Halfa, then looked into the sky, the seemingly empty blue sky. "What is it, Grandfather?" John asked softly, still staring at the sky, a sky that would never be the same. "Of course, I'm sure you only saw a small part," Grandfather Kramer said. "But what you saw was a glimpse of the deeper world." "The deeper world," John repeated in a whisper. "A glimpse is enough, but it seems so long, like hours. Though I know it was only a second, yet I can't explain. It was... Sorry. The old man nodded sympathetically. He patted John on the back. "One can't look at the deeper world too long," Grandfather Kramer said, "not unless you are protected. It's like looking at the sun. It's both too bright and too dark, too strong for our human eyes." "But what is it, this deeper world?" the boy asked. "I can't really describe it in words," the old man said. "It's beyond what any human language allows, though once in a while a poet will give it a good try. But if you knew the language of angels and the secrets of dreams, you would begin to know the deeper world. We can't touch dreams, yet dreams touch us, making us feel sad or happy or afraid. The deeper world is something like that, but much, much more like a dimension beyond us, yet in us too. The deeper world is like an invisible world that holds our world together. It touches our flesh and bones, as well as our thoughts and dreams. That's why it seemed so long when you saw it, even though it was only a second in our time. It was as if you saw a glimpse of eternity through a crack between times." "But it wasn't just the time, Grandfather. I saw things, not just that snake, but other things. Yet some had those white circled X's and others had the sign of the 3 crowns. And in that snake, only it was different. I could see things inside it, and it went on and on like a dark tunnel without an end. Oh, Grandfather, I don't like the deeper world. It's full of monsters and horrible things, and they're all invisible." "They aren't really invisible in the way you think, but deeper," Grandfather said. "Yeah. The air we breathe is invisible, but it isn't deeper." "But what are those things?" John asked, pointing at the sky, which had always seemed so empty before. "Why are so many of them hanging around here? I couldn't have counted them if I tried. They scare me." "Those things you saw are a type of being that lives in the deeper world," the old man said, "and you aren't the first person to be scared at their sight. They're called the word is Aggeloi. You would think it was Aggeloi, but in Greek, if you have 2 G's, 2 G's look like a Y. The first one is an N, so they're Angeloi. And you don't know that, but I know that, so I'm just telling you. He's seeing angels. The what? The Angeloi. I'm just going to say Anglo because that's how I want to pronounce it. Grandfather said, only some of them aren't true Angloid anymore. The ones with the circled X are dead Angloid, called Daimones. Diamonds. Daimons. Demons, basically. I would say daimons. Daimons. I'll say daimons. Demons. The sign of the circle X is a sign of death. They didn't look dead to me, John said, glancing at the window. They were moving. So was the snake. Death is not always what we think it is, the old man said. There are many ways to be dead and many ways to cause death. Just because something or someone exists doesn't mean they have the magic of life. The demons are death rebels. I'm going to say demons, what the heck. But why are there so many around here, John asked. It's like they are watching me. They are watching you, Grandfather said. What? Don't get excited, the old man said. Let me tell you a short story. Though it might sound a little odd at first. A long time ago, magic filled the deeper world. What is going on? Oh, the blinds moving. Hang on, the sun's shining in. That's interesting. Just so I can pull the doohickey down. Look down. Put it into place. I don't remember. What do you call it? A thingy bubber. A clip. Handy. I got one, but I don't know how to take it off my chips. Pull this down. The reason I'm reading early is because earlier than normal, I guess, is because my daughter was coming to visit a day from North Carolina, bringing my grandson, my youngest grandson, yeah, little William, what a card, little character. So it was fun. It was a good visit, but I was on track to get a full 8 hours sleep and be up real early for me, 7 or 8. But at 3:33, I woke up. I had half a night's sleep, 4 hours sleep, and I got online and did some emailing and text and a little bit of research for somebody that needed it. And by the time I get back to get ready to go to sleep, it's about 5 o'clock, 5:30. So it ended up being about 7 o'clock before I took another nap, and it was only like an hour. So I shortchanged myself quite a bit. So I haven't gone out too much today. I went down to the cabin and met with her and then her husband and whatnot. So anyway. Oh, I'm tired. I'm going to sleep. As soon as I read this, I'm going to sleep. I'm tired. Okay, don't get excited. Da-da-da. Let me tell you a short story. Okay. Gotta find where it was. Okay. Let me tell you a short story, though it might seem a little odd at first. A long time ago, magic filled the deeper world and our world. 3 magical kings ruled over all. Deep peace was in every heart. But then a powerful prince of the Angloi wanted more power and defied the kings, wishing to kill them. This Angloi called himself Treason. Because he broke the deeper laws of the kingdom of the kings, his magic died. Yet his deeper powers remained. But deeper powers without magic are tragic. Other Angloi broke the deeper laws and followed Treason, becoming his slaves. A war started. Treason and his army of dead Angloi, the demons, fought against the kingdom of the kings. To stop Treason and his rebels of death, the kings held a trial on the lesser world. Treason fought hard. He made slaves of anyone who chose tragic powers instead of magic, putting them into deeper chains. For a time, magic was all but lost on the lesser world, but then one of the kings, the king prince, came to the lesser world to prove that magic was stronger than the powers of tragic. Magic returned with him to the lesser world for those who wished to be in the kingdom of the kings. The king prince a new magic place in the kingdom. When he returns, he will put Treason and all his followers in a deep dungeon. But until then, Treason still exists. Okay, I don't know where I left off, so I'm just going to guess at it. To get it right. If it doesn't work, maybe I'll reread the whole chapter someday. Sometime. Okay, so Grandfather Kramer is telling John the story about magic and tragic and how magic used to fill the world, and there was a rebellion by treason, and a lot of the Angeli became demons. Daimones. I don't know. I'll figure out if I want to say something different, but right now I'm just going to say demons. But why me? John said, I'm just a boy. That doesn't matter, Grandfather Kramer said. A child, especially a child with a spirit fire, is a great threat to the demons. But why? Because you still have the ability to wish and believe in magic, the old man said. The demons hate magic. They want you to be their slave, locked in their chains. I want to make a point here. One time, D.L. Moody at a Sunday school, he was in his church, and he asked one of the Sunday school teachers how many kids were in attendance. Now, how many people were in attendance at the class? And the man said 10 and a half. And he goes, what do you mean a half? He said, there's 10 people, 10 adults and one child. And D.L. Moody's reply was, no, the child was like worth two adults, because he's young, he's untouched, he's pure. He's got more potential than an adult. So don't ever say a child is worth less than an adult in the kingdom of God. Jesus said, let all the little children come to me. So don't ever shortchange a child. And people are doing that around here big time with a little 8-year-old girl. They treat her like a slave and like a prisoner and like she's a dumb idiot. And she's not. Okay, enough said there. They want you to be their slave, locked in their chains. I did see chains, the boy said, remembering his vision through the goggles. Huge dark chains, and somehow they're all connected, only some weren't connected too. Some chains are broken, Grandfather Kramer said. That's why the demons are afraid of you. You have the spirit flyer and might break more chains. You must be interfering with one of their plans. The giant snake is made of the dark shadows of death to scare you and keep you from flying a spirit flyer. The snake is made of shadows, John asked. You mean it's not real? Of course it's real, the old man said. As real as shadows, lies, and fears. Only these are deeper shadows. Shadows are so strong you can touch them. All right, gonna turn the page. You can touch the darkness as if it were hard, like brick, and it can touch you. Grandfather, I don't like this, John said, feeling the fear touch him like a hand in a soft black glove. And I'm not sure I really understand. Well, it's time you learn more of the secrets of the magic bicycle, boy, Grandfather Kramer said. Let's go over to the tractor. I want you to sit in the seat and listen to the story of magic, and maybe you'll understand more about the spirit flyer, the giant snake, and the rest of the deeper world. John sat down in the worn seat of the old red tractor. Grandfather Kramer pulled out an old leather aviator's cap, the kind with ear flaps. The sign of the 3 crowns of the 3 kings was in the center of the cap on the front. John felt a chill pass through his body when he saw the golden shine. On the edge of the cap were the words Spirit Flyer Headgear. A red wire ran from the back of the cap into the body of the tractor right below the speedometer. Next to the wire was a single red button. Put on the cap, Grandfather said, and close your eyes. It doesn't fit very well, John said. It's too big. Well, you're young, Grandfather Kramer said. Sometimes you have to grow to fit the story. What you lack in head size will be made up for in the size of your wishes. In the size of your wishes. When you're ready, push that red starter button. It will start you thinking of the deeper world. Will it hurt, John said? Will it be like those goggles? Well, it will only hurt if you don't want to listen, the old man said. The goggles are much stronger. The headgear will tell you the story of magic, but in the time of the deeper world, like in the wink of an eye, because our time is short right now. Delete. The boy put his finger on the red button, then closed his eyes. Okay, he said, I'm ready, I guess. Then pushed the button. John pushed the button. If you had stood next to him, you would have only heard a single deep note of music. The boy smiled and opened his eyes. Wow, that's some story, John said. Then his face became more serious. But Grandfather, will those demons try to kill me? I mean, if the prince, the king's son, hasn't returned yet and their powers are stronger near the end, what do I do? Listen, the old man said, holding the boy's shoulders in his large hands. There are many mysteries of the deeper world that I do not yet understand, and I am an old man, but I do know this. You are safe when you are on the Spirit Flyer. It is your gift of magic from the kings. Never give up that magic. Hold on tight to the handlebars, and you will always arrive where you need to go. Sometimes that old red bike may take you to strange places, to places where you may be afraid, but never let go. Even if your hands are weak, it will hold on to you as long as you wish. Deep in your heart for the magic. As long as you wish, deep in your heart for the magic. The Angoloi will protect you too. They have already protected you. When the snake spit lightning at you and the bike jumped out of the way, that was the Angoloi. They moved you. Really, John asked? The snake was trying to scare you off, Grandfather Kramer said. He wanted you to be so afraid that you would lose faith in the Spirit Flyer and jump. Since you already have a Spirit Flyer, they have lost one battle. So now they're trying to stop you from riding it. I wish Uncle Bill believed what I told him about the Spirit Flyer, John said, but I didn't know about the kings or the demons then. I think he does believe you, Grandfather Kramer said, even though he wants to believe his laws and rules explain everything. But more than that, your uncle is in a shadow of fear, and he has believed the lies with a deadly fear because of what happened to your father and mother, John. But if they died in a car accident, why would Uncle Bill be afraid of my Spirit Flyer? John asked. I don't understand. It seemed like Uncle Bill didn't even want me to talk about the Spirit Flyer. Do you know what kind of work your father did, John? The old man asked. He was a school teacher. Yes, for a while, Grandfather Kramer said. He taught... Oh, come on. I have one run into me. He was a good teacher too, but he stopped teaching and opened a store, a toy store. A toy store? I didn't know that. Well, he didn't have it for long. He sold toys from various companies, but he also made toys. He wished deeply to get... He wished deeply to give children joy through the magic of toys. Then one day 2 bicycles were left outside his workshop door. Those bicycles were Spirit Flyers from the 3 kings. John's mouth dropped open. Your father quickly discovered the unusual abilities of those bicycles, Grandfather Kramer said, and one day he and your mother rode them up here. That took them about an hour. You mean they flew here too? John asked. So that's why you weren't surprised to see me. Uncle Bill and Aunt Betty must have known about the Spirit Flyers then. Well, your father tried to tell them, but Bill wouldn't believe it, the old man said. There aren't rules in his books about flying bicycles. Your father tried to show Bill what Bill wasn't ready to see. Your father became impatient, then angry. Getting angry was a mistake because then the bikes won't fly. The magic can't work. Then the long rain came. The long rain, John asked. A long, unusual rain poured on Centerville for several days, Grandfather Kramer said. No one had seen a rain like it before. Other towns near Centerville didn't get a drop. But Centerville flooded, and people saw clouds like funnel clouds, but your father and mother saw something deeper. A funnel cloud that was really a snake that spit lightning, a snake that bit trees into pieces. Your father tried to tell Bill, but Bill wouldn't believe him any more about the snake than he would about the Spirit Flyers being able to fly. Then a few days later, they found your parents' car smashed up as if a tornado had twisted it like a tin can. John sighed. Even though he could only barely remember his parents, he had still missed them in quiet ways. Your parents were assumed to be dead, the old man said, but there was a mystery. Only their car was found. No one ever found your parents' bodies. And besides that, the 2 Spirit Flyer bicycles also disappeared. No one knows why. I even searched for your parents on my Spirit Flyer, but I didn't find them. You have a bicycle too? John asked. No, Grandfather Kramer said and smiled. He patted the old red tractor, then pointed at the side. In flowing white letters inside a white border was the proud name Spirit Flyer Harvester. I never even noticed that you had a... John stopped. His eyes were fixed on the old crank telephone on the wall by the refrigerator. Look, John stuttered, pointing at the telephone. Grandfather Kramer turned. The old phone was glowing, blinking on and off like a tail light. The old man just stared at it for a moment, then shook his head. Don't be afraid, he said. Looks like we're going to get a little call. But that phone isn't even hooked up to anything, John said. Well, it appears as if something from the deeper world is hooked up to it, Grandfather Kramer replied. He walked over to the phone and took it off the hook. Even he was surprised to hear the voice of Susan screaming. John, oh John, come get us. It has us. It's so awful and dark. He wants to... A tremendous scream drowned out her words. As the scream died away, a terrible hissing noise drifted out of the phone. Then it was the same dark voice John had heard the night before. We want you, John Kramer. Go home now if you want to see your family alive again. We have them all this time. Remember your parents. Don't refuse us. We have them all. Oh, that was the end of the chapter. Ha ha ha. Not reading another one. My voice is scroochy scratchy. Okay, so we got to delete some stupid comments from Connor. Connor from Colorado. What a butthead. What a lowlife. What a scumbag. It might not be, but could be. A computer nerd and he's an evil, filthy. Okay. Good night. Let me see if anybody's sending that thing. Come on, let's go. Come on, guys. Those idiot comments. I can't believe that. Well, you're the resident, what do you call him, thingy bubber. Moderator, thank you. Good night. Sleep tight. Love y'all.